Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video, it's The Handmaid's Tale, Season 5, Episode 5, entitled Fairytale. I give a full episode recap with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around. I keep all of the minute marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. Memories of Hannah ring in June's dreams until her sleep is interrupted by a call from Lily. There's a word that a guardian is crossing the border with information about the wives' schools. He may know about Hannah. Many protesters chant, "Go home, Yankee," as they believe the country should just be for Canadians. Serena enjoys her new room with bird chants of the morning and Gilead security along the backyard. Ezra even brings flowers from the well-wishers. She wants to thank Mr. Wheeler for his support and generosity. Ezra says that he's very busy, but he will check. Serena insists that Mrs. Wheeler doesn't have to make such an extravagant meal. Things can be simple, but she insists that her and her husband should do more. They pray, but even Gilead seems so far. God chose her to give birth to a divine light. They pray, and at least they could do is provide refuge from those awful people. We notice Mrs. Wheeler has a meat-hearty breakfast, while Serena's is more plant-based. Serena is ready to get back to the center soon. They can't stop God's will. They have news. Their man is stuck in no man's land, and he can't get across. Canadian Border Patrol has stepped up the monitoring. Their guy doesn't want to risk getting caught, and Canada wants them out of there. They're making their message pretty clear. He put the flag out, and Lily is sorry that they came all of that way for nothing. Luke wants to cross. They are so close in getting information about Hannah. He's not risking seeing Hannah on TV again with Serena. June gets a wave of confidence in Luke, displaying a smile of relief. Lily supports their decision, and they have a meeting spot in no man's land. Now June wants to go with him. Lily provides some supplies, as it may be a while until they get more. Rita is with the baby. The spot is marked on a map, and they should avoid any patrols. If they stay the course, they should arrive by morning. There are no names. Look for the other flag, and the code word is beret. Moria hugs them goodbye, encouraging them to just come back and everything will be okay. They cross the border, and now Luke and June are on their own. Nightfall hits them, and it's reminiscent of when they first had Hannah taken away from their arms, but June wants to keep going. Lily can't understand. What's up with those two? Moria says they won't quit. They keep fighting for each other. They sip liquor as they guess where the next post will be. Maine, Detroit, Montreal? June and Luke see a man hanging with the sign, rapist. It's the first experience of harsh violence from Luke. It's not Gilead, though, June notes, as they don't use words when they punish. It's an awkward meeting as Mrs. Wheeler has visitors to give other women hope. The women there have all tried for so long to have a baby. They are all consumed by Serena's baby kicking. They all feel her stomach saying, "You give me hope, Mrs. Waterford." There's a flashback of Serena and Mrs. Putnam. They can't believe that people are still fighting for how things used to be. This is the new way, and these poor children have been taken away from their unfit mothers. None of these children, though, fit Serena's cup of tea to take home. These children need good families to raise them in God's light. They don't know who they are, where they came from, but they don't need a handmaid. God will bless them. June spots the flag with the code word of raspberry, and beret are given. It's not safe during the day, though. He has to go. They either follow him or get no information at all. Mrs. Wheeler allows Serena to take a call from Gilead, but she doesn't want to be on the call. She feels that she doesn't have the head for all of that. Wives shouldn't burden themselves with business. Serena speaks with Joseph, and she didn't expect to speak with Warren as well. After all of this mess at the center, they want to check in. Is she peachy? Are you putting Gilead in a good light? This is already costly and an empty building with bad press. Serena suggests that the center should not be used to focus on Gilead. Instead, it should be fertility. That's what people want to hear about. It also keeps the doors open. Joseph thinks it's a good idea, but Mr. Putnam gets Serena off of the phone. Serena's leash must be yanked from time to time, he says. Mr. Putnam also doesn't like Joseph's new plan called New Bethlehem. It will be the death of all of us. A bunch of traitors, criminals, terrorists, and you want to welcome them back with open arms. Never. The other commanders will never support that. We don't need to get support from the whole world and people poking around in our affairs. But Joseph warns, if Gilead closes their borders and walls to everyone, Gilead will die, and everything that we've worked hard for would have been for nothing. Putnam is still doubtful and says that his speech is highly unlikely to sway the other commanders, but he's welcome to try. They continue to journey on, and they reach another waiting post. It's an old arcade/bowling alley with a real bathroom. There's a system. They must leave their bags and exchange them with another. He has information about the Plums, the wives in training. They're not there for a long time, but when they are, they're treated like royalty, like a princess. They train to run their households like wives. They make sure to place them quickly. Luke can't believe this. Their daughter is 12 years old, and the thought of any child being groomed as a wife is disturbing. But the guy just replies, this is just the way things go. If she's still there, she's still a Plum, and she's not married. He doesn't know where the new schools are. They just keep the details under wraps. All other information is saved on a USB. They can't go back across during the day. It's too dangerous. They should at least stay until sunset so he can get them back to the border. To spend the time, he asks if they want to bowl. They bowl, but June is worried about the volume. No one ever hears you out here? He tells her not to worry and reminisces about him and his dad once bowling. All he knows is Gilead. But people should be free and be able to talk to their families like this. Luke can't believe how pure this kid is, and neither can June. It seems like odd behavior from someone who grew up in Gilead. He has beer, but where did he get it? Luke takes a moment to play the piano. They all listen. Luke plays and sings Al Green, "Let's Stay Together." The kid has never heard such a song and asks if he wrote it, and Luke laughs, saying yes, taking the credit. Luke and June dance, enjoying this time. It's like a fairy tale, remembering how things used to be. Serena keeps getting bouquets of flowers, but Ezra is timid to the security risk. Serena wants to speak with one of the visitors, but Ezra says they don't know who she is, and Mr. Wheeler gave strict instructions not to open the gate. Instead, enjoy the grounds and be safe. Another flashback of Serena and Aunt Lydia. Lydia is excited to show her the potential handmaids, the most fertile candidates, handpicked for such an important commander and his wife. This one has good bones and good genes. She also caught the eye of Mr. Waterford. Before you know it, God will welcome a baby into your home. She passes the selection, the one that caught her husband's eye, and picks the next. Mr. Wheeler finally gets to meet Serena and apologizes, as he's been very busy. He wants to give follow-up concerning her call earlier. The commanders decided that her idea, a fertility center, was a stroke of genius. She's anxious to get back to the center, but they have placed other people there to continue. She shouldn't concern herself with her own ambitions. The baby comes first. Speaking of the baby, she needs to keep her levels up. He gives her medicine and water, but won't leave the room until he sees her take it. Make sure you take one every day, She wants a cell phone to conduct business, but Mr. Wheeler is opposed to the idea. It's a security concern. As June and Luke and the new friend kid head back to the border, he unfortunately steps on a landmine. The rebels scatter them everywhere, he jokes. He tries to soothe them and say it's okay, they should stand back. As he tries to continue to comfort them, the mine explodes, throwing him into the air. His right leg is severed, and he pleads with them to run. And Luke says, "I'm sorry." Guards have now heard the explosion, and they must run. Luke and June run for their lives, but they're captured, with June being taken one way and Luke to another. And that is the end of the episode. And now it's time for your favorite part of the video. That's right, my review. Such an intense episode in typical Handmaid's fashion, right? Beautifully written. The cinematography was wonderful. Again, the colors, the darkness, right? Of the Wheelers. Ooh, this spooky space. Speaking of that, it's very obvious that Serena is being treated as if she's a handmaid. They are keeping her lock and key until that baby comes out. The mystery of it all this season is who is up for grabs when it comes to that baby. Who wants that baby? Is it the Putnams? Is it the Wheelers? Is it one of the women that are coming over there to touch her belly and be creepy? We don't know. It's just very interesting how Serena is seeing the boomerang of a lot of her ambitions and goals and agreeing with women taking the back burner. And now that she's emotionally feeling that more than ever, plus the baby, it's like, hey, you're finally seeing, you're getting a taste of your own medicine, no pun intended, as she's taking the medicine. And this is like gold, okay? This is a situation where everybody wants a baby. Those women are saying, we've tried over and over again to have a baby. You're light, you're divine light. And it's just very enticing to see Serena feel that emotionally, having that child, being pregnant. These are my estimates, and I've been saying this forever. Of course, I feel that, people are going to battle about whose baby that is, but also genetically, right? I've been saying forever that I think that's Mark's baby. We've known that Fred was not fertile, right? And he couldn't have a baby. They tried and they tried and they tried. And I think this is foreshadowing because they give us that flashback scene where Mrs. Putnam and Serena are just like, oh no, I'm not thinking about that. God's going to bless us. We're not doing the handmaid thing, right? They're even looking at other children saying that, oh, we don't know where they came from. We don't know who their parents are, and still downplaying getting a handmaid to have a baby. But then we see the desperation, right? She gets to that point where now she's with Aunt Lydia. And Aunt Lydia handpicked a few for her to look at. So we see the desperation incrementally displayed in this episode, right? Her thinking back of them thinking about children, then looking at children, then considering the handmaid. And now she's at this point where she's pregnant. I'm wondering if either there's going to be something wrong with the baby, or either she's going to have the baby and somebody wants it, or is somebody kind of like making, the wheels churning and is this really her baby, and questioning the fertility, and if the fertility will be her demise, or will the demise be her being ambitious and trying to stand outside of her role. Let's get to this beautiful character that guided June and Luke. They let us have this transparent moment where they in the bowling alley and he can, not really remember his dad. And he's having this moment with them as a kid, just enjoying himself bowling. And Luke finally, laughing and saying, oh, I love bowling. And just getting out of that bubble, getting into a bubble of just safety and security, so much so to where he feels comfortable with playing a song and dancing with her. And this kid making sense in his mind that Gilead's not that bad in his eyes, but wow, people should be able to talk with their families just like this. Like, what's wrong with us just sitting down and just talking with family and bowling and having a good time? He's developing his own opinions and saying, well, there's some conflicts there, right? It's very, very sad that he allowed them to have this freedom. That last scene of them holding hands before he steps on the landmine. And even in a landmine, he's like kind of like at peace, right? Of like, no, it's okay. Everything's going to be all right. He's that even lined with death. Okay. A lot of people who deal with war or being in dangerous situations when it comes to borders and conflicts and all of that stuff, they have it in their mind that maybe death is around the corner and it's coming, or injury. And he's consoling them. And he's the one on the landmine. Okay. When it should have been the other way around. After the explosion, it's going to hit Luke and June that he was just a kid and he was protecting us. And June knows that this young guy and his leg is severed, but he's not dead. It's either going to be one or two of things, which I think the character might do. He may say that he was trying to come after them and kill them, or he may be honest and say, I was leading them to the border. Maybe he's just over it. But Gilead may see him as a traitor and hang him. and also send a picture to June, right, to really crush them emotionally. And I think that's what they might do because Gilead is cruel, right? But let's keep in mind, Gilead is in this moment to where they must amp up trade, okay? A couple of seasons back, they did mention that Gilead's getting low on that food there, okay? And you need food, you need trade. And Joseph is saying, hey, if you want to close the walls and the borders, we'll crumble, we'll die because you need food, you need trade, you need stuff. That's what keeps the world going. The number one thing, regardless of your political status, anyone can agree across the board that trade is very important, right? Commodity is very important. You have to keep that rotation no matter how you feel about that other country because there has to be some compromise so everybody can have a win-win. Everybody can eat. Everybody can have supplies. Everybody can have this. Everybody can have that, okay? So Gilead has been so tight-nipped and so tight-lipped. They need to expand, right, the influence to other countries to keep this going. Now, if you remember, I'll rekindle your memory. Canada was talking about, hey, we can choke them. We can choke them when it comes to food supply because they have a very strong militant base, right? They have a lot of strategy and they have very, very, very tight security when it comes to information. But when it comes to trade, it will take time, but we can deplenish their supplies. That can take time because they have a very strict diet, okay, and what they want and what they need. And when it comes to those beliefs and systems and things like that, they have the borders up and it's so tight that nobody can get to them. They're like, oh, maybe we should expand to Europe. Maybe we should talk, Serena in a few episodes ago was like, I was supposed to be talking with these other countries, but you declined those calls on my behalf, right? So they know that they need to start talking to these other countries and influence them and put this on display and all of this, but they've been hesitant. They've been hesitant to display that because they know that more people can come in, infiltrate, find out what's going on, find out that they're, torturing people, killing people, raping people, and like, oh, our secret will be out, right? Because they've had the refugees with their stories and they have evidence, but it takes getting in. If they can get down, if their wall can break down, their border can get down and get more spies, they can get Gilead to crumble. Now, I've been mentioning this for a very long time as I've been doing the recaps and reviews. I want to see the perspective from other countries when it comes to their military, their ideas, what they're thinking about Gilead. It's been said what they've heard and what others are thinking, right? Let's say, for instance, I would like to see maybe what is Japan doing? Like, how's the rest of the world looking? What does their society look like? Their plans to infiltrate Gilead, their plans to trade, if countries are agreeing with Gilead, if they want to, join the bandwagon, and how can you train our countries? Because we've seen that a little bit in a few seasons ago where they're like, oh, we want to learn your ways so we can take it back home and we can do the same thing, right? And so it's this a constant occurring thing where I think that with the next few seasons, they need to show that. If they don't show that, then it can get very repetitive. It can get very redundant to where the audience is just like, okay, what's next? Like June. We've seen June in all her selfish ways and the desperation. And now we have Luke, who emotionally was in that moment. And the words of Serena rang in his head. When Lily said, hey, our guy's stuck, this, we can't, go over. I'm sorry, came all this way. Luke remembers that psychology, right? And Serena said, well, why didn't you go? Why didn't you do anything? June took a risk. And he said, well, you know what? I'm going to cross. I'm going to cross. He felt like he had to do something. And June looked relieved and shocked that Luke was being brave and doing something. So it's like she looked at him with this smile like, okay, kind of thing. But of course, Luke doesn't know what he's doing. He saw the guy hanging and was like, oh my God, So he's in this realm of trying to prove himself, which can be dangerous. And we see that it has been dangerous. But it was very evident that they're keeping Serena it's this handmade format. She's like, can I have a cell phone? He's like, no. Can I go back to the center? No. Like this power that she's thinking that she had, that diameter is being broken down. And she's realizing that this might not be a safe place, especially when Ezra says, well, Mr. Wheeler gave strict instructions, not to let you outside of the gates. And the cinematic shot of Serena seeing the bars of the gate around the premises is cohesive when June saw the gate and her and closed when she was with, Serena, right? And Fred. So it's great cinematically. They have these flashbacks and kind of ping-ponging of what June experienced. And now her feeling enclosed and kind of like getting an epiphany like, wait a minute, maybe I'm trapped. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, like this video. Also watch the final season of Atlanta. If you haven't seen the previous seasons, make sure that you binge watch so you can catch up. So you can watch it because it's an Emmy Award winning amazing show. Also check out Bell Collective. Queen Sugar, the last season of Queen Sugar. Make sure that you binge watch those previous seasons as well if you want to catch up. Amazing, amazing show. In the meantime, in between time, remember to take care of yourself and each other. Leave those comments down below. Bye.